How's it going, everyone? It is Monday, August 5th, 2024. Hope you guys are having a great day. Quite a spicy day in the market. So let's go over the picks from the prior video. We'll get into what the market is doing. So I had two day trade shorts. The first was JBL. Let's take a look at this guy. Okay, so nice breakdown on JBL through some horizontal support, through some of these major trend lines. Lots of heavy volume, as you can see. And it wasn't too overextended relative to what the market was doing. Let's zoom out here a little bit. We can see where this trend line came into play. So zooming into the chart, how did we take JBL? Well, we had a strong leg lower, and then the stock was right below support, unable to really get off the deck. I ended up taking JBL right around here at 1250. If we look at what the market did at that time, here is the 1250 candle. Market had a weak bearish bounce, a weak bounce. A bounce isn't really, well, it can be bearish, but we had a weak bounce. A lot of tails above our bodies, a lot of wicks over here. Broke down through VWAP, nice key red bar through this upward sloping trend line. We also have a 1OP bearish cross. So I figured here, we could probably at least test the low of the day, depending on how strong this price action is. And so we got a little bit of a bounce. Couldn't get anything going in this stock either. Then we cracked down, and then we started to move lower. And I took profits right around here, 97.56, sold into strength. And then we got this is your key bar here and here. These high volume dojis. You got some tails here. This is where you want to get out of the move. So I had a little bit more room to ride down, but overall pretty happy with the trade. I also took profits because SPY was not really approaching the low of the day with any gusto. These are just tiny bodied red candles. They weren't steady selling like we saw on the second. There wasn't steady selling that we saw on the first. So that told me that this is probably going to be a higher low. We compressed for a little bit, and then we got the big pop up here. So on this candle right here on 140, I thought, all right, well, this is a good time for me to get out of the trade, so that's what I did. Ended up having a little bit more room, but I got a really nice chunk of that move. So JBL, beautiful win. OVV was our second option here. And I don't think this trade really set up for me. Or I guess it did set up here, but I didn't end up taking it personally. But you can see how we get this leg lower. We're compressing here for a little bit, and then we break down through here. Again, where is that 1250 bar? 1250 bar is right here. Stock does get some relative weakness. It's not it is pretty relatively weak here. I like to see it get through some of this levels here. So the 120 bar, feel pretty comfortable taking that bar short. So 120, you can ride the way all the way down to about 155 here, even 150 as the market puts in a little bit of a hammer. Stock starts to put in a little bit of a hammer over here. So you can get a pretty nice chunk of that move, about 25 cents on a stock that has, $1.66. Actually probably went up a little bit today. Yeah, $1.50, 58 as that ATR is rising. So decent win. That's how I would have traded it. I didn't end up taking it. I actually ended up taking MU, which I did not give out in the video as a pick. But MU was a better pick in my opinion. You can see how we had a gap down, made a new low, pop up over here, so we get this little double top, and then we break the low of the day. Steady selling. So took a nice dollar on MU. Was a really nice trade. So that was the better trade of the day, but OVV still a very nice win. So nice start over here to the month. We have 5 trades and we have 5 Ws. July video is going to come out pretty soon once I close out JMIA and ASTS. So let's take a look at those picks right over here. So first, let's talk about JMIA. IA. And let's see what's really going on with the market right now. We had a big drop overnight, and there was a couple things here. First, we had pretty big drop in the Nikkei. I think I call it the Nikkei, which is probably the incorrect pronunciation. But we had a big drop in there. It was attributed to what's called a carry trade. So what you have to know about Japan is that they've kept the interest rates very, very low for a long period of time. And what investors found is that if they borrowed yen and then they invested in other countries that had higher interest rates, they could profit off that difference, right? You can't make any money in a savings account if your bank interest rates are zero, but you can make money in a foreign savings account if those interest rates are much higher. So we had a lot of those going on. Uh, BOJ announced a rate hike, a 15 basis point rate hike. And that seemed to be enough to, scare some investors. You don't make as much money from the spread. You start pulling out of those trades. You also have the yen kind of getting some strength relative to the dollar, so that also negates the profit potential of those carry trades. So I don't know a ton about it. I was reading a lot about it this morning. I would encourage you to read it. I was reading on AP News. You can use ChatGPT to ask these questions on Forex Exchange. The main thing is, though, that there's a lot of talks about recession fears. I think that a lot of those can be overblown. I think it's too early to really call those, in my opinion. There is always a chance. I was reading in AP News as well that when JP Manalist had his kind of model go up from 15% to 25%, but he says at the end of the day, things are still looking pretty good. So, in my view, this is a market correction that has been further exacerbated by some timely news or untimely news, depending on how you are positioned. So over here, we got the gap down. We expected a bounce, right? And if there wasn't any news, I think that's what we would have gotten. Got that news over the weekend. And market has been rallying since then. So if we look at the D1 chart here, we got a pretty decent crackdown, and this is a deep retracement, right? Off the highs of 560, we hit a low of 510. So that's a pretty steep correction, $50 on SPY, almost 10%, about maybe 9% correction, something like that, if I do the math in my head. So I still think this is a correction, and I don't think we are entering a recession. That opinion is always subject to change based on further economic data points. But as Pete said in his bulletin this morning, people always try to figure out what's happening when the market's going down. They never question what's the market's doing as it's going up. He talked about the low volume rally, the high market concentration. We knew that we were ready for a dip. And because we're ready for the dip and we were mostly in cash, right, we weren't panicking on these positions. And if I look at JMIA and ASTS, I have not lost any money on those stocks, even though the market has gone down. JMIA has just filled in the gap, and now it's retesting that level. ASTS is up for the day versus what it was on the close on the 2nd. Oh, just got a Teams message. So with this stock here, we're going to definitely close this stock today. It has earnings coming out, and this may be a pretty good place to close that trade. We're seeing a little bit of selling coming in from the market. We're seeing this stock starting to poke back below its closing level. So I think this is a good time to take my profits in the stock, and I am going to do that right now. Okay, JMIA, we just took the loss. ASTS, I still like this stock on a D1 basis. Now, the thing is that our market bias has changed and we are on borrowed time. The beautiful thing is that this stock has 100% completely ignored anything that the market has been doing. Completely ignored it. So there is a trade off here, and what we're looking specifically is how the market closes this day, right? If we get a nice bullish engulfing candle, I can kind of ride this guy out all the way to the 100-day SMA, where I may expect to find some resistance. And in that case, I think I could, if this happens on a day, or maybe today or maybe tomorrow, depending on how we close today, I think that I can close this trade in the next, certainly within this week, most likely between the next 2 or 3 days, but potentially even today. So what I first want to look at is, okay, well, is this stock, well, I guess really what the market is going to do, right? Like we could get this move up higher, and then if you get a nice bearish hammer on the close, that would feel pretty bearish to me. I would not. I would probably try to get out of the position at that point. Look for some relative strength. If the market just kind of dies for the rest of the day, doesn't do too much, I'm still okay with holding the stock on the notion that we could challenge this high. If we zoom out over here, maybe to an M30 chart, we can see the story pretty clearly. So if I put up the SPY overlay, market has been absolutely tanking. Stock has been holding all of its gains. We just need any sort of market bounce, and I think it's one that is a little bit overdue and one that we might see this week. But I'm not counting on that market bounce to take any long trades. I'm just using it to exit a relatively strong stock, perhaps at a good point, maybe 21 bucks. Stock has been rallying decently today. I want to see a good rally on a day when the market is also moving up. That tells me that there are buyers supporting this move. So we're going to still be in ASTS, and we are going to make our decision closer to the end of the day on whether we want to take our profits or whether we do not want to take our profits. Okay, so one trade for today that we can take, regardless of the market conditions, is a time spread. I like HIMS as an earnings time spread here. We have a low amount of times exceeded. We have a very high difference. Decent option implied, decent option liquidity, not implied liquidity. Everyone, my OBS had crashed, so just going to re-record the last part of the video where I go over the picks I give. First one is a earnings time spread on HIMS. So let's take a look at the setup. You can see here on HIMS, we have low times exceeded, pretty high difference, decent option liquidity. Price is okay. Above 10, above 15 is preferable. So this is a pretty nice setup. I have the 1750 time spread. I'm bidding for 15 cents. So I'm going to see if I can get that fill today. I'm also hoping with some of the additional IV crush from this volatile move that I can make a profit even on today, potentially. That's the first one. Second pick, I'm going to give one day trade long, one day trade short. DLTR is my day trade short for today. You can see how the stock was grinding lower, had a flat open here, and then was hogging the low of the day while the market was rallying higher. Now the market's selling off on some steady red candles, good volume on these candles. DLTR starting to crack down. I like to see it kind of accelerate a little bit more here. Hitting some support at this level as well. But I love this D1 breakdown. You can see how this is a very steady chart. Long compression, we're breaking down here. We have a little bit of time before earnings, but I really like what I see. I'd love to get in on this stock on some sort of market bounce. Long pick of the day, if it still holds up here, LTH. So what I liked about this stock, it was actually holding all the gains while the market was coming down. It may be giving a little bit of those gains back here. What I'd want to see on this stock is I'm okay with a little bit of a pullback, maybe see a retest to challenge this prior day high. but ultimately hold a lot of these gains and preserve most of this move before inching higher. So an HA reversal could be a nice alert to set on here. I'm also going to set an alert at the high of the day, maybe put a little downward sloping trend line. I can catch that move to the upside. I want to see some tails below bodies. I don't want to see any long candle on a red candle that's closing on its low. I want to see that one has maybe a little bit of a tail. Something like that is better. Tells me that buyers are still in this stock. So those are our 2 picks. Last thing I'm going to say is that if you were panicking on this drop, make a note of that. How you reacted to this day is going to be a good indication of where you are in your trading journeys. I think every single orange and red trader that I saw in the one option chat, intermediates and pros, they weren't freaking out. They were just watching the price action, trying to take advantage of this opportunity and identify what information they can extract from this new move that they can best take advantage of for future profitable opportunities. That's it. That's the mindset you got to be in. Thanks for watching, everyone. Take a look at how this video or how these picks did in tomorrow's video.